Hello. Good evening, everyone. Hello, am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
good
sir.
evening.
Okay, good evening, everyone. First of all, welcome to this session on LATEX. Sir will be joining in a couple of moments. Session will start from 7 o'clock.
So your voice is not consistent, it's dropping suddenly.
Students, that is this session going to be available on YouTube? So for now, we have kept this session live on YouTube, but it will be maybe.
Hello.
Your voice is not clear.
Hello, Deepak.
Yes.
Yeah, there is so much disturbance in your voice.
Okay, I'll try something. Hello, is it clear now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so a couple of students were inquiring about the session's availability after this. So I want to make clear that if sir does not agree, we have to delist it from YouTube. So please be available during the sessions. Hello. Once again, I welcome you all to this session on latex and good evening to everyone. And I welcome Sir Bhasker Dasgupta. He's here to take the session. So I think Dibya, you can take on from here.
I'd like to welcome you this session and thank you for agreeing to do. Further ado, I'd like you to start.
Yes, I think now you can hear me and see me also. Hello,
Yes, sir.
you can hear me.
We can see you. Yes, sir.
See and hear both. Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you all a lot. And in fact, you people are thanking me for agreeing to do this. But when this invitation came from Sanjit, I actually felt it a matter of honor that you are asking me to do it, because in the institute there are some 400 faculty members, and 100 of them must be quite good experts of LaTeX, perhaps 20 better than me. Still, you chose me, so I decided to do a good job at it. And I think with this much, I will stop this verbose talk and do two things. I will share the screen and I will start recording. Though Deepak actually assured me that recording is not necessary because it is live on YouTube. What is meant by live on YouTube, I really don't know very well because I have never done it. Nevertheless, I would start recording it so that I have a copy to fall back upon. Okay, and I will share my screen. Oh, when I say record, it says please ask the host to give you permission to record. So host, will you give me the permission to record?
So I am recording.
You are recording?
I'll share the recording with you.
Okay. So you mean I don't need to bother about recording. You will do that. You are doing that anyway. And who it was who said that it is being recorded anyway?
Sir, it's Dibya from DOSA IIT Kanpur
So this
Academy,
is
sir.
Okay. So you are recording. I don't need to worry about that. Is it?
with you.
Hello.
Dibya, your voice is breaking.
Yeah, I could not. Well, how about
Excuse me,
my
sorry.
wife?
Yes, yours is good, sir. We are able to.
I'll share the recording with you.
Okay, so I don't need to record. Is that what you mean?
No. So I'll share it with you.
Okay, fine. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen so that you can see my screen, and then we can start the discussion. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes, sir, we can.
You can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Okay, so we are actually going to have a tutorial on LaTeX. Actually, in the beginning, somebody said LaTeX. but the people who make a big fuss about how to pronounce this particular word, they say LATEX, okay, as if it is LAYTECH, okay. So LATEX. So first we should start with what is LATEX, right? So do I make it full screen? Making it full screen will have a problem that whenever I want to sidestep, then I'll have to escape from here. Okay, so these are the broad topics in which I have tried to cover my talk. First with starting with the basic things, and then introducing the math mode, and later do the really interesting things of LaTeX, which sets it apart from anything MS Office can produce. So first we talk about these things: what is LaTeX, how to start, continuation, and some global GK. Okay, so LaTeX is actually a programming language. It is not just a software made by somebody which lets you do things. Okay, so rather than numbers, this programming language processes text. Okay, so technically, when you prepare your LaTeX file for the output, for printing, viewing, or whatever, technically you compose it, not compile it. Okay, though many people say I'm compiling my LaTeX source file, but as actually you compose it. Now, LaTeX was actually invented more than half a century back, and just in case you don't know, it was developed by originally as TeX. Okay, so TeX was the original of LaTeX, and TeX was developed by Donald Knuth. Donald Knuth is a great expert of algorithms. So his book, The Art of Computer Programming, is a masterpiece in algorithms, 7-volume book. When he published his first edition, it was published in the traditional typesetting system, the way books before 1950, 1960 were published. And understand that the typesetting standards and fonts and styles before that were developed over several centuries, and they were very entrenched, very capable. And Donald Knuth was happy with the first edition of the book. By the time the second edition was coming out, the classical way of publishing books was replaced by computerized text editing, and the standard of that, in Donald Knuth's opinion, was terrible, very bad. And there I agree with Donald Knuth, because when I started my academics, I mean proper academics, in 1990s, even at that time, the other competing software packages which were there, like WordStar, WordPerfect, KaiWriter, they were very bad, very poor. Okay, and make note, MS Office was not there at that time, even in my time. So anyway, so Donald Knuth was disgusted with the computerized standard of typesetting. So he said that before this book goes for publishing, this edition goes for publishing, let me design a system. And he designed TeX, on which later Leslie Lamport developed LaTeX, which we use after several more additions, modifications, and versions, and so on. Okay. So in LaTeX, you have typesetting instructions, that is how to typeset this matter, which you call commands, and the matter itself, which you call the text, to typeset, put together in the same file, source file. Okay, that is what is called as LaTeX source file. And suppose this is the name. LaTeX source file typically has an extension .tex. Okay, and it is an ASCII file, of course, because you edit it. Okay, in a notepad kind of thing, you edit it. And in order to edit this, never try to open MS Word. Okay, because if you open MS Word, if you start typing in MS Word, here and there inadvertently you will end up doing some MS Word kind of formatting in this. So never do that. Either in Notepad or in WordPad, you should write it if you are using Windows. For that matter, I never use Windows. I mean, never is not correct. Right now I'm using Windows. I mean, rarely use Windows. For all my serious work, I use Unix-based systems, which today means Linux. So in Linux anyway, there are beautiful editors. So since you are putting commands and text in the same file together, then the composer, LaTeX composer, the software or compiler, if you like to say, has to know which one is text and which one is command. So the rule is commands start with backslash, which is this. And the command may be followed by its arguments. When you say command, you say go back. Then you have to say go back how far. So this how far would be a command, an argument to the command go back. Okay. So a command may have arguments or parameters. There are some commands which don't need arguments. Okay. And other commands which need arguments. And if it needs arguments, then the first argument may be optional. There are many commands which do not have any optional arguments. There are some commands which have one optional argument. And if there is an optional argument, then the optional argument will be the first argument. Can you understand why it has to be so logically? For example, if I have to give you a command with two arguments, one of them necessary, which I have to give, and the other one is default. Just a minute. There is a call coming from somewhere, and whom it is not very safe to offend. So what I will do is that I will just put a note in WhatsApp that I am unable to take the call right now. Yes. So the reason why the optional argument has to come first is that if I have to give you a command with the necessary argument first, then with that necessary argument, you will take the command and perhaps execute it. Okay. And you will not know whether what I am telling next after that is the optional argument of that command or something else, which is perhaps a text which I want you to compose. So that is why whenever there is an optional argument, the optional argument comes first, which has a preset default. If that is not specified in making the command, in calling the command, giving that instruction, then the default value is taken. Okay. The simplest possible LaTeX source file, say simplest.tex, has this document class article, begin document, some text, end document. Okay. So these three commands are necessary in a LaTeX document. So document class is the command. It is starting with backslash, and this is its argument. And you see, this is a necessary argument. You have to specify which document class your document belongs to. Okay, so this is a necessary argument. There could be optional arguments also. In fact, technically, LaTeX takes just one optional argument. Then it will come here, okay, in between document class and article, that is before this opening brace. The optional argument, if it appears there, it will be interpreted as the optional argument. If you put it here, then it will be ignored. It will be taken as text. Okay. So, now document class is the command. Article is its argument. And if there were an optional argument, then that would come here, and that would not come in braces. That would come in square brackets. Then begin is a command, document is its argument. And whenever there is a begin command, there must be an end command also matching that. If there is a begin document, there must be an end document. If there is a begin equation, then later there must be an end equation. If it is not there, then it will be a trouble. It will cause an error when the LaTeX software tries to compose it. Okay. And when you start something with this begin kind of command and then end it, then you say that you are setting an environment. So here you are setting the document environment, here you are ending it. After that end document, nothing is processed by LaTeX. Okay. So if you take this as the file, call it simplest.tex, compose it, and then produce a PDF and see that, then thus just this text will appear in the output, this line, this sentence, and there will be a page number at the bottom center. Why? Because that is the default page style for article class. Okay. Article means paper actually. Now I'm telling, if you take this file and if you compose it, how do you compose? So we come to know that. Composing, viewing, printing. These are things that you must know to work with LaTeX. Now, that depends how you do that. That depends upon your version of LaTeX. So your version of LaTeX might come with an environment or interface to edit, compose, view, print, build PDF, etc. So basically, when you start LaTeX, then at the top or on the right side, there will be little buttons which will say edit. Then if you click there, it will open an editor. It says compose. If you click there, then it will start composing and so on. Okay. So then you know how to do it. I understand that typical Windows LaTeX comes in that kind of a format. Even in Windows, you perhaps can operate from command line. By opening a CMD, you get a shell, and in that shell, you get a command prompt. From there you can issue commands, shell commands. In Linux, that is the default way. In Linux, that is how we typically handle it. So if you operate from command line, as I do, then to compose it, I mean, I'm not telling you how to edit because you might be using your own suitable text editor, whether it is VI or gedit or whatever. Okay. So to compose, you say LaTeX filename.tex, whatever it is. Even if you say LaTeX file name, omit the yes. In between, if you people have any query, you can fire the query. Okay. Don't hesitate to stop. Okay. Is it okay?
Yes, sir, we will.
Okay, fine, good. So even if you omit this .tex, LaTeX will assume that it is filename.tex. Okay. To compose and produce the file, filename.dvi. Now, what is this dvi? Dvi is device independent. Okay. So it produces an output which is device independent. which means that with that DVI file, you can do later several things independent of the device by which you do it. For example, you can say DVI PS to produce a PostScript file. You can say DVI PDF to produce the PDF file, PDF output. Or if you double click in that in the file manager, you can view it. Okay. Or there may be appropriate print commands also to print it, send it to the printer. If your purpose is to produce the PDF file only, then you can bypass all these little things and directly say PDF LaTeX filename.tex. Okay. So that will produce the DVI and then from that build the PDF. And then with PDF, you can view and print or do whatever. You can send it by email to somebody. Okay. However, I typically don't do PDF LaTeX. I rather split it into two parts. One is LaTeX and the other is DVI PDF. You will ask me why. If something can be done in one step, then why do it in two steps? The reason is that if I have a servant, okay, and if I have to tell him that get all my books from that bookshelf, dust them, and then put them in the truck and take it to my office there and get them down from the truck, dust them, and then before you put it back in the bookshelf there, you dust them. I would not ask the servant to do this dusting 3 times. I would say, take down these books, take them to the department, take them to the office in the truck, and there put them in the bookshelf there. And before you do that, you dust it. So dusting will be done only once. Now, why this is relevant here? While composing, the LaTeX composer shows you a few things, the report of whatever it is doing and going through. Okay. If you are doing it in the command prompt, then in that window itself in which the shell is operating, in which the command prompt you see, it goes on giving you the report. Okay. If you are not doing that, then if you are doing in Windows LaTeX like this, then in the bottom, there will be a little tab, okay, narrow tab in which all that report will come. So it will go on telling that I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm building this, I'm trying to do this, and I had difficulty in handling this, so I'm somehow handling it. You will better later check. Okay. And if it feels that there is something fishy in your document, okay, which he thinks that you might have made a mistake, that is not what you intended, then it might give you warning. Or if there is a difficulty it encounters while composing it, okay, then it gives you some warnings. Some warnings you can ignore, but some warnings may be troublesome. Your output will not be the way you want it. Okay. And LaTeX tries to warn you against such things. And then in the same place, it gives errors that plays foul with the grammar of LaTeX. If that happens, then the DVI is not produced. Okay. It is just like a compiler. So if the compiler encounters a language error, then it does not produce the compiled version of the program. So same thing here. And whatever it is going on putting in the screen, which you can see by scrolling, the same thing it also puts in a log file called filename.log. Okay. So that you can see it later. Apart from this, what it does is related to something which is one of the big strengths of LaTeX. In LaTeX, in your own source file, you will never say equation 3.29. You refer it by a label which is meaningful to you. Okay, because a particular equation may be 3.29 now, but later, if I remove a few equations from the document or put some more equations, okay, then what will happen? That will not be to 3.29 anymore. That may be 3.25 or 3.32. Okay. So every time, whenever I am saying equation 3.29, there I have to go and make appropriate changes. LaTeX frees you from all that trouble. Suppose equation 3.29 is the equation which describes the Hamiltonian. Okay. Then I can say, I can put a label Hamil when I am giving that equation, and later I will be referring it by Hamil. Whether it is 3.29, 3.25, 3.32, doesn't matter. From Hamil, LaTeX composer will know that it is supposed to be that equation, and it will collect its number. So how does LaTeX know where I have defined some label? So if you look at this report carefully, you will notice that it is telling you at some point that Hamil is this equation number. I have noted it. Okay. So first time when you compose a LaTeX file name, then it is making those notes. It doesn't know what it means. And all these notes it collects, and at the end writes another file called filename.aux, auxiliary file. Next time when it will compose, it will first pick up that auxiliary file, read its content, and know which equation couples with which number, which reference couples with which citation number, which figure, which table, which page, which chapter, which section has what number. All these numbers it will pick. Okay. And then it will start composing the actual file. This is how LaTeX works. And therefore, if I say PDF LaTeX file name, then first it will do this, then it will directly try to do this. As a result, what will happen? The new equations, their numbers, it will not know, right? Because last time when I was editing it, those equations were not there, their numbers, their labels were not there, so those it will not know. So later, or even earlier, when I have referred to those equations, figures, tables which are new in this version of my source file, their number will not appear because LaTeX composer doesn't know them. Okay. However, I know that I have put some new equations or some new figures or a new section. That its number I don't need to bother about, but I know that I have put something new. So in that case, what I would do LaTeX file name once, then LaTeX file name once more, so that the second composing takes care of all those new keys, new labels, and then only I will do this. And even then I may not do. I may just view the DVI file only. Only when I want to print it or send it to somebody, then I need to do PDF. So I would not want my servant to do more work than necessary. If I do this twice, then both times it has to produce the PDF file, and the first time PDF is not of any use. However, since nowadays computers have a lot of memory, they are very fast, you can afford to do only this if that is easier for you to remember. Okay. Now, in my view, the steps to start with LaTeX is, the first step is to read through the thinnest, simplest, and funniest book on LaTeX, written by no less than Leslie Lamport himself. Okay, unless you have already done it. And this book I'll show you. This is the book. It's very thin. Okay, so completely it will show some 200 something pages, or maybe even more. But you see, after this, it is mostly appendices. Okay, so if you read through chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, then you are in a position to operate with LaTeX with full latitude of the system in principle. And then as needs arise, you go through the rest of the thing. Okay, so the best way is to first read through this, because without reading through this once properly, it is impossible for you to get a lot of little nook and corner stuff which are quite useful. Okay, you may get hold of the broad things and start working, but as a result of not knowing those little nooks and corners, you might underuse and sometimes abuse LaTeX. Okay, some of those things will be coming in my discourse. So this thing you should read if you are going to do a good job with LaTeX. Okay, and it's very well written, extremely well written. It is fun to read it. Okay. Second, of course, you have to do it. Find the LaTeX package in the internet, download and install in your system, unless in your system it is already available. And then third is actually attend this talk. Okay, if necessary, you are doing it, which is great, which is fine, but that is extra actually. Then identify resourceful sites, internet sites, and friends for quick help as needed. The reason is that as you start working with LaTeX, there will be lots and lots of occasions when you will have confusions and you will actually feel stuck. All of us have felt stuck and we still feel stuck. Okay. And it's enormous ocean of information and anybody will feel stuck now and then. Okay. How to do this? Arey man, how to do this here? Okay. And therefore it helps it helps to have friends who are experts or who are smart. Okay. "अरे, ऐसे क्यों नहीं करते हो?" Okay, so that is very helpful and we all have used that great resource. And now Google Baba is of course always useful. So this you should have some fallback, okay, to consult now and then. Otherwise, you know what? You will sometimes spend one night when half an hour or 15 minutes should be all right. Okay, so to avoid that, you should have suitable friends and suitable sites. Okay. Otherwise, you can do Google and Google will take you to the suitable sites. And then this is useful only to reduce your labor and reduce the initial confusion. Get hold of a small and simple LaTeX source file. Okay. The kind that I showed you, simplest.tech. Okay. I mean, that is too simple. But if you ask for small and simple LaTeX source files in the internet, there are many of them. Okay. Leslie Lamport himself in this book talks about a tex file small2e.tech. Okay, because he was writing of the LaTeX version, which was LaTeX 2e. Okay, fine. So then, in this small and simple LaTeX file, study the commands, arguments, and the text, and make changes to suit your intended document. For example, if the small little simple text file that you have got, if that says /author John McEnroe, then in that place you should make it /author Sandeep Singh and so on. Okay, and then immediately the text also. In John McEnroe's book, perhaps it is written, I typically hold the tennis bat with my right hand. So there you say that this paper deals with the topic of computational fluid dynamics or whatever it is. Okay, fine. And then the way you have started, keep on adding more of your own stuff to complete your document. In between, now and then, keep on composing, which is like compiling and viewing the output. Okay, one of you tell me that in this mode, these letters, this text, is it readable enough?
Yes, sir, it is.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir,
Yes,
it
sir.
is.
Okay, so then I don't really need to go full screen, because now and then sometimes I would be taking you to other screens. For example, sometimes I would be showing you the source file also. Okay, since I have talked about that, right now let us have a quick look at this source file. Started with document class. Beamer is its class name. Okay, and these are the options that I want in the optional argument, and that is why it is enclosed in square brackets and coming before the necessary argument. Now I might use EPSFig package, so that is why this. Then these are two input files. Actually, there are two files, stymodif.tech and aliases.tech. You don't right now bother about that. To those things we will arrive much later. Okay, and perhaps not today. Well, by the way, I should tell you that the way I have planned, there is absolutely no way to cover the whole thing in a single session. It will be necessary for us to meet later again. So today we will be essentially cover two of its sections, okay, which will be something like half of the job done. So in these two, I have actually defined a lot of extra new commands of my own. And then these are things which I got from somewhere. And in that, I changed these things. Okay. Of course, Bhasker Dasgupta name would not be known by others, and so on. And whatever from the top, till this, these few top lines, yeah, these few top lines before the begin document is known as preamble. Okay, so this is known as preamble of the LaTeX file, and then from here the document begins, and at the end there will be an end document. Okay, fine. So these are the steps to start with LaTeX. And how to continue? Continuation means troubleshooting will be required. And if you are even a little smart, then you will end up doing some innovations here and then there, some new things. Okay. So some of the new things we will talk about now, perhaps not. And some of the new things we will be talking about later. Okay. So continue, keep on using LaTeX to typeset your documents, one paper today, another paper next month, and so on. Okay. Consulting relevant sections of the book, Leslie Lamport, capable friends, and informative websites. And there are forums actually, okay, where also you can put your query and somebody will answer. And for any organization of matter that can appear in a printed matter, have a firm conviction, have a full trust that LaTeX must have some civilized way to give it. Find out. Okay, this is important because many people start working with LaTeX, and when they are stuck somewhere, they do it in a bad way. Okay, you should never stay satisfied with a bad way of doing things in LaTeX. So in LaTeX and there are two software packages which I have worked with, MATLAB and LaTeX, in which there is always a beautiful civilized way of doing whatever you may think of doing. Okay, so you have to find out how to do that rather than doing it some manageable way. So don't try to manage, do things the way it really gets done. Okay, so any scientific matter that you can think of in a printed book, printed matter, LaTeX must have a way to give it. Okay, so you have to find out how. So this firm conviction is very important. No? And if it happens that you really want to do something, you want to really do it in some way, which is very characteristic of your need, your style, your wish, even then you can always define a macro. Okay, my aliases and style modif have my macros, my new commands. Okay, so this is how you continue. And much later, after you have continued a lot, encountered several problems, and handled those problems some way or the other, okay, either good way or bad way, manageable way, because you did not have enough time to find out exactly how it is done best. So after you have done quite a bit of that, then one day you pick up another book which is advanced. I have seen these 3 advanced books. Kopka and Delhi I have read quite a little. Okay, but these I have consulted now and then. Okay, so these are good books. Kopka and Delhi is a very well written book, but it is fatter than Leslie Lamport, so it will come later. And discover new avenues of doing things. Okay, now we continue. Some global general knowledge of the language. You see, the typical first command in any LaTeX source file is this: document class, blah, 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 whatever optional arguments is there, and then the necessary argument is the class name. What are the possible class names? Article is one in which you draft your papers. There are many alternative versions of article. For example, these are 2. ELS art is the article class of Elsevier Science. All the journals that you see in sciencedirect.com, they are Elsevier Science journals, and they have a particular class file. Their standards are encoded there. So if you are preparing a paper for an Elsevier Science journal, then you have to keep it in this class. May not be in the beginning, but after review, if the paper is accepted, then the journal will require you to put your document in this article class, this class, okay, ELS art, that is Elsevier Science article class. IEEE transactions have similarly IEEE trans class. Each journal according to its own, or each journal or each group of journals, okay, according to the publisher, has its own class file. Taylor and Francis will have another class file. Okay, so these are all basically derivatives of the article class. Then that is why I have put commas here and semicolon here. Then another major difference comes when you come to report. So report, book, and thesis classes are like that, different. Okay, in what way they are different? In an article, in a paper, you have sections. You don't have chapters, right? Here, the highest sectioning command is chapter. Okay, so things are organized in chapters, inside which there may be sections. So there is a difference. So this is a different book. This is a different document class. I wrote my thesis in something which was IISc thesis because I was in IISc. Interestingly, I did not use IISc thesis as it is. I had a senior called Rex. So he had actually made a derivative of the IISc thesis class as a Rex thesis class. And then I inherited Rex's class file, and then I made some more of my own changes and made it bdthesis.class. Okay, so all these things you can do, but they are not very safe always. You might make mistakes. Another basic class in LaTeX is slides, in which you can prepare slides. Okay, so but this particular presentation, which I am using here, has been made in a derivative class called Beamer. Beamer class has been developed by a German group. And in German, the word for the projector, which you use in classroom, that projector is called Beamer in German. Why? Because it produces a beam of light. Okay, so the projector is called Beamer in German, and that is why when German group developed this class, they called it the Beamer class. And I got this class when I was in Germany from my German friends. Then there is a class for letter. Okay, interesting. So these are the possible class names. These are the possible classes, and many more are there. Okay, but basically these. Now, typical files of relevance. with typical file name extensions. One is, of course, the most important file, the text file that you write and develop, okay, for which you need to know the grammar. And then class and style files. Class files have this extension, style files have this extension. Now, originally, in my student time, there used to be typically the style files, okay. But later, the main task of any document class was taken by CLS, and for every CLS class, every document class, every kind of document, there are some default style files which are something.style, and so on. And then there are additional styles if you use certain packages in your text file. So that you mention as use package EPSFig, then some style file will actually be used inside. No? So there are other packages for which the corresponding style files are used. So these you don't need to bother much about because they will be provided by the software package. Okay. Later, at some point of time, when you become expert, then you make changes in that, you edit that, and so on. That is different. Okay. Now, intermediate files generated while composing. I have already mentioned these to you, that when LaTeX software, the composer, composes a text file, it produces these two files. This to generate a report of whatever happened during its composing, and this where it lists the keys which may be used in keys and labels and so on, which may be used in later compositions for citation references and so on. And that is why before opening filename.tex, LaTeX will typically try to read through filename.aux. If it is not there, then it will report in the log file. Filename.aux not found, then it will continue. Okay. Let me see whether I have any aux file here. No, I don't have. Well, I don't have it here. But I thought that I kept some aux file here.
Sir, the file last, fourth one from the last.
This one? No, master. Lovely. You are smart. This is a huge aux file. In fact, this is the aux file that was generated while composing my book. And typically the aux file starts with relax, which is good. Any big job one should start with relax. Okay, I don't know what it means by relax, but don't worry. Okay, this happens to be my bibliography style. Then it makes some notes about the table of contents file. Then it talks about some of the citations. Okay. And then it talks about a new label that it encountered. Okay. This happens to be the key of the first chapter of the book, because the first chapter is preliminary background. So this was the key, this was the label to that chapter. So much later in any chapter of the book, anywhere, if I say ref Prellback, then it will put there 1. So I would say chapter ref Prellback, so it will say chapter 1. Okay. Then lot of new labels are produced, new citations are produced. Okay. And then something written in list of files, something written in list of, something to be written in list of files, something to be written in list of tables, and so on. This is an equation number, Ax, E, Q, Y, comp. That was the level that I gave, thinking whatever. Okay. You see, you can actually make sense of it. This equation was Ax equal to Y. Okay. So I gave this level. And this equation happens to be equation 2.1 in the book, and it appears in page 10. Okay. So like this, it keeps on recording all the labels, references, citation information, and whatnot, indexing information also. Everything that will be useful later, it keeps on putting it here, aux file. Okay. And later, next time when it will compose, it first will read from here all the labels and keys, and then it will get into the business of composing. Is it not interesting? You almost feel that it is human. Okay, so this is what a aux file is for. And then there are output files which it will generate, DVI, PS, PDF. And while composing, it will generate list files for table of contents, list of tables, and list of figures, depending upon whether you have asked for them or not, and also depending upon what article, what document class it is. For example, uh, in the manuscript of a paper, by default, table of contents is not there. Though you can ask for table of contents, you will get it. Okay. So, but for a book, by default, it is there. Then related to bibliography, there are several files, 4 kinds of files related to bibliography. This we will discuss again when we come to that stage. Then related to index, 3 kinds of files. And then there are imported graphics. I typically include EPS files. EPS is encapsulated postscript. Okay. Many people directly include JPG files. Some people may include PNG files. In fact, I understand even a little PDF file which has image or whatever, you can actually put there. So these are additional files. These are imported. These are outside somewhere, and you put it where you want the figure. Okay. What about giving me a 5-minute break now?
Yes, sir, we can have whenever you say.
Okay. So let us have a little 5-minute break now. I mean, let me at least have, in which I try to grab my tea or coffee, something. And you people can keep on discussing among yourselves. If you have together as a group developed some queries, some questions which you want to put forward, you can finalize them also. Okay. After coming back, we will get into this.
Yes, sir. All
Okay.
those who have questions regarding this, so you can post here in chat, and once sir comes back, we'll address them.
Okay, I am back. Hello.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, so in between, have you people collected any queries, questions?
For now, we don't have any questions, sir. So
That makes sense.
we should keep on.
Okay, because not much I have really covered till now. Okay, so we go into these. Okay. So these are the characters in LaTeX. The 26 capital letters, 26 small letters, 10 digits plus equal. These are all normal. These appear in math mode. Okay. Then these punctuation symbols, these are normal, these come. Okay, when you want. These symbols are actually special. Okay, so LaTeX uses them for its purposes, for commands. Okay, so for example, dollar is used for setting starting math mode and ending math mode. Percentage is used for comments and so on. Okay, now if these characters are used by LaTeX for certain purposes, then how do you get the character percent itself? Okay, because the moment you write percent, LaTeX composer will think that you are commenting the rest of the line. So to have the percent symbol itself in your text, you need to use that with an escape sequence. And the typical escape sequence is just a backslash before this. So if in your text file somewhere percentage appears in the text file, then LaTeX will ignore the rest of the line. Okay. On the other hand, if you keep it backslash percent, then LaTeX composer will understand that you actually want that percentage there. Okay. So that is how it is. For example, depression is an English word. Till 20 years back, if somebody used to say, if somebody said that I have a severe depression, then we would interpret that that person is sad, hopeless, feeling very pessimist, cynic, and so on. We would not associate it with any disease. But now, if you say that you are depressed, you are having depression, then people will say, oh, let us take you to a psychotherapist. Okay, it's a problem. So now if you say, no, 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 I am having a depression in the ordinary sense. This, in the ordinary sense, you say to differentiate it from the special sense in which it has been understood. Okay, so that is how these characters, if you want that thing itself, then you precede it with a backslash. That is an escape sequence. If you want backslash itself, the way I am using it, if you precede it with a backslash, that doesn't help because double backslash means new line. So for backslash, LaTeX has this special command. This is very funny, but it is like that. There are two commands. One is backslash, the other is text backslash. I'm using text backslash to get this here and elsewhere later. Then spaces. The space bar that you have in your keyboard, that space bar, the tab, and the enter key. The effect of all these is the same in LaTeX. Okay, just ordinary space. And even if you press some 20 times the space bar, in your LaTeX source file, you see huge space in between, but LaTeX takes it as only one. Where it gives more space and where it gives less space is defined by things of English rules, like after a word, after a sentence, and so on. Okay, so that is different. So spaces, you have characters. If you want extra space, then you give a backslash and then put a little space. Okay. So backslash followed by a space for ordinary 1 character equivalent of extra space. So if you want an extra space of 4 character equivalent, then you have to say backslash space 4 times. Irritating, but very rarely you need that. Okay. So this is 1 character equivalent of extra space. And if you need a space less than that, okay, just little, then it is backslash comma. Sometimes you need that. Okay. Typically, you need it when some italicized text appears like this, and after that, some upright Roman text appears like this. Then what happens? This italicized text like this. Can you see my hands? I think you can. So this italicized text actually hangs over the following upright text, like my neighbor's balcony jutting out and covering my house. Okay, which is not fair, which is not legal. So there you may give a little space. The way municipality has a rule that everybody has to leave this much space on the left side, on the right side, and behind, and so on. Okay. If you want a specific amount of space, then you can say H space, which is horizontal space, 6 mm. Get it? Okay. Though for why you need it, for that you may have some reason of your own. Apart from that, there are horizontal fill and vertical fill commands which produce extra spaces according to your needs, special needs. Okay. Now, prohibiting line break. So if you want to give a line break, you make // okay, which I told you. Okay. There are situations when you want to prohibit a line break. Okay. And this is, bringing in a situation which is very typical of LaTeX, how it respects your wish. So for example, you say that let us meet at the bus stop at 11:30 a.m. And in that letter, in that instruction, suppose 11:30 goes and sits at the right end of a line, and in the next line AM comes, it will look very ugly, right? You would like it if the line does not break there. Okay. So between 11:30 and AM, you put a tilde character. Tilde character is very near the escape key on the top left of the keyboard. Tilde is this similarity sign. Okay. That is tilde. So if you put a tilde character in place of space between 11:30 and AM, then LaTeX will give the space in between. But LaTeX will take it as an instruction, don't break the line here. Okay. So that is a guarantee with tilde. If you want premature line break, this I have already told you that you get it with /newline or //. When I say slash in LaTeX command context, then it is backslash. Okay. And only a new line, enter key in the source file is interpreted as an ordinary space. If you want to indicate a new paragraph, then you have to leave one full line blank. More full lines also the same thing. There are several kinds of dashes. I mean, LaTeX gives you things which are established in the standard publishing style. So in standard publishing style, in books and all, there are 3 different lengths of the dash. This is something which many people ignore and produce ugly slashes which look like hyphen. So use this only once for a hyphen, twice with no space in between to indicate range, page 5 to 17. Thrice with no space in between for the punctuation dash. See this. Do attend the swearing in ceremony during 3 to 6 p.m. It is an obligation. So this is hyphen, with this character used only once. This is showing a range. You see it is longer than this. And this is the punctuation dash, normal dash as comes in punctuation. Okay. Quotation marks. These things I am pointing out because these I have seen many people using wrongly. I will here show you the big version, then you see how ugly the alternative would look. You see this? This is wrong, right? This is the same as this. This is the same as this. This and this are produced by using the ordinary quote, single quote, double quote, which appears in the keyboard just beside the enter. In LaTeX, you don't do like that. In LaTeX, quotation marks appear correctly like this, in which this is inverted and this is straight. This is 2 inverted and then 2 straight. Now, you get this kind of thing when you use the quote key near the escape character on the left hand top corner. Okay. So actually that is the same as tilde. Tilde you get with shift and this one you get without shift. Okay. And on this side, you use the ordinary quote key near the enter. Okay. So this is the correct way to get quotation marks. For single quote, you get it once. For double quote, you use the same keys twice. And then these beautiful quotation marks appear. Comment. This I have already told you in some context. Anything appearing after percentage in the line is ignored by the composer. Okay. Now here, you may face a predicament. After composing a 13-page document, you decide not to include 3 of its paragraphs appearing in pages 5, 7, and 12 in the present version. You say that no, in this version, these 3 paragraphs I'll not include because these 3 paragraphs are a little contentious. I'll think over them carefully. Maybe in the next version, I will include them. How do you handle the situation? What are your ideas? Now, this is like a quiz. I told you that percentage will ignore the rest of the line. So you will go on putting so many percentages, is it? That is one way to do it. You put 5 percentages here, 7 percentage symbols there in the 7 lines, and then another 12 percentage on the 12 lines in the third location. You can do that. Another possibility is that those lines you simply delete from your document, thinking that later I will write it again. Or you delete from here and put it somewhere in another file somewhere. I handle it like this. I define a new command. Okay. And this command is very interesting. I mean, this new command is very innocent. The command name is comment and it has one argument. Okay. And then what should this new command do? And what should it do with this argument? And the definition of the new command is here. Do nothing. Okay. So what I do is that at the top of that paragraph, I write slash comment, open this brace, and at the bottom, I put this closing brace. Then whatever comes between these two braces is taken as the argument of the comment command, and LaTeX does nothing about them, just ignores. Okay. So like this little small new things you can go on putting whenever you need. Okay. So original straightforward way to get a comment is like this. You can put a percentage in between a line. The rest of the line is commented. Whatever appears on the left of that percentage in the line is there. You can put marginal notes. The text appears like this, and on the margin, some note. Okay. For example, in that paragraph, if it is not for this version of the document is not for submission to your guide, but for your own later study, that later you will do some more revisions. So the paragraph about which you have a little concern, on that paragraph on the margin, you might put a note, check this again. So you put a command there, margin par, then check this again, like this. Then the text will appear like this straight away, and on the margin, check this again, that note will be there. So whenever you study your document in the PDF or DVI file, then you will see check this again. Then you will remember, hey, I thought of checking this again. Let me check what is there. So to remind yourself, you can put alerts like this. This is marginal notes. On the other hand, if you submit it to your guide and your guide wants to put those marginal notes for you, writes that Dheeraj, I think this is wrong. Okay, so that he puts in the margin part. He can do that. I mean, if that is the arrangement between you. Accents. Some non-English European languages have certain accents of certain characters. In many cases, you get them. For European languages, you get because they have done it. Okay. So, for example, you can write Günther went to Cologne. Okay. But the correct way to write this proper noun and this proper noun would be this. Günther went to Cologne. How you pronounce it is another complicated business. Okay. Like this, French, Spanish, Latin, Italian accents, some ablats, some umlauts, and some funny sound of C that some European languages have. So those things, for those, there are some accents. The book, Leslie Lamport's book, tells you about those. Okay. You can put footnotes. Okay. So something appears and then without any space, you say slash footnote. And then as the argument of that footnote command, you put the text which should appear at the bottom of the page as footnote. Sectioning commands. So paper or article class will start with section, then inside subsections. This also I have written as subsection, is it? I intended to write subsection. There are subsections also. For example, in a paper, there will be section 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 2.1, 2.2. There may be subsections. Okay, sections will be 1, 2, 3, 4 in paper. Subsection will be 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. And there are subsections. This is a mistake. I meant subsection, which will be 2.2.1, 2.3.2, and so on. Okay. And there are starred versions also. For example, you may have section star, which will be treated at the same level as section, but it will not be numbered. Okay. Now, how a section is treated, whether that is numbered or not numbered, whether that section name, section title should appear in this size or this size, whether it should appear bold or not, all these things are decided by the style of that particular class. Okay. Part also is there. Books can be there in parts, part 1, part 2, part 3. Okay. There may be appendices. In paper also, article class also there is appendix. Okay. So these are the typical sectioning commands. Now, a big thing called environment. LaTeX has a concept of environment. In a particular environment, some things are needed, some things are valid. Okay. And those things will remain valid as long as that environment is continuing. One way to get an environment is by enclosing its content between /begin and /end. The way we started begin document, end document. Like that, we will have begin this, end this. Okay, for many environments. Okay. There is another way of getting an environment. Sometimes the environment name also operates as environment command. Okay. So then you say environment command, start the brace, which will start the environment. And then when you close the brace, that defines the extent of the environment. In some cases, you get it like this. That is, you start the brace first and then put the environment command like this and put the content. I'll show you this source file and how I often get it. Yeah, see, you see this? This is one shortcut way of getting an environment. So this boldface and this large. Sometime back you saw this find out. Okay. So this thing that I said that any organization of matter that can appear in a printed matter have a firm conviction that LaTeX must have some civilized way to give it. And after that, you saw that find out words came in bold big letters. They came in bold because of this, and they came in large letters because of this. So this is as good as this /BF is as good as keeping begin BF at this end and end BF at this end. Similarly, this is equivalent to begin large at the beginning and begin and end large at the end. Okay. So, but since I am telling this inside this pair of braces, then its validity, its extent goes up to that closing brace. Okay. So this is a very simple shortcut way of managing some of the environments, not all. Okay. So the braces set up the obvious environment boundary. There are lots of environments. One is document itself. Okay. This is emphasized. Okay, italics. This is a little larger. They are made in /large. Okay. Then document itself is an environment. There are lists. Enumerate is an environment. Itemize is another. Description is another. You see this arrow and this arrow? Because from here to here is inside begin itemize, end itemize. That is an environment. Then when I said first item, then this was given, and then this is the first item. Then I again said again /item, this is the second item. Okay. So at the top here I said begin itemize, at the bottom here I said end itemize. This thing is done in description environment. Begin description was here, and then one item was this, another item was this, another item was this. And somewhere above where I said this one. This one 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This was done in enumerate environment. After steps to start with LaTeX, I said begin enumerate, and then I said item this, another item this, another item this. So those /items produced these numbers. So inside this, if I had another enumerate, those items would be produced as A, B, C, D. Inside that, if I have another enumerate, that will be produced in Roman 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Okay. And here you have already seen that inside one environment, which was description, I was doing this. In one of its items, I have sub items. I have an itemized environment in which I am using inner items. Okay, so all these things you can do. Then there are other environments like math, begin math, end math, equation, figure, picture, table, tabular, tabbing, quote, quotation. There is an environment for writing poetry. Okay, verse. Verbatim is an environment in which you include pre-formatted content. For example, some 20 lines of it you have formatted in text already in a certain manner, whatever manner, and you want it to appear like that only. Okay. So whatever ugly, whatever funny it looks, you want it like that only, rather than getting it formatted by LaTeX. Then put it in a verbatim environment. Begin verbatim, end verbatim. Then there is a begin title page, end title page, and there are many more. Now at this point, you may make note, or you may not, because you are not thinking like that, that Dasgupta did it a very clumsy thing by making a reference from here and then going all those screens up there to show us something, and then came down all these screens down here back. It is so clumsy, very bad. And that is true. It was possible to use hyperlinks. Okay, I have not used it. I thought that if I get time, then I'll use it. But finally, I did not get the time. Okay, so it is possible to use a hyperlink from here to go there and then use a back button to come back here. Those of you who have seen my math slides, mathematics book slides, they will have seen those kind of hyperlinks. Okay, so hyperlink is also possible. In fact, I wanted to include one or two hyperlinks in this to show you the idea how to include hyperlinks. But then you see, that would make more sense if I were basically making a presentation of the slides class or beamer class. That is not the issue here. Right now it is paper writing and thesis writing. So I have not put that at such a high priority. The information for title page is found by these commands: title, author, address, and so on. Okay. And then if you include these three, then you know your title does not appear. LaTeX just keeps these as information. For example, this particular presentation has its title as LaTeX tutorial. That is why this LaTeX tutorial is appearing here. But the title page appeared for a different reason. Because I said make title, then the title page appears. Okay. So in your thesis also, even after you put the title of the thesis, the author of the thesis, your name, and then IIT Kanpur and so on, it doesn't come. When you say make title, then the first title page comes. Okay. I use the title page environment sometime for another purpose. Okay. So some pages I want to appear in composed version as standalone pages without any page number. Okay, so for that I sometimes put that material inside begin title page and end title page. That's an artificial use. Fonts. These are the typical fonts that are used in LaTeX. RN is the default font, which is Roman. IT is italicized like this. BF is boldface. M is something interesting. M is emphasize, but when you use M in normal M or EMPH, then you find that as italicized. Then you would ask, what is the difference between M and it? Okay, emphasize and italics, what is the difference? The difference is that in ordinary Roman text, if you use M, then it makes it italicized. In an italicized paragraph, if you use M, then that will become upright Roman. Okay, so that is the special difference between M and italics. Italics is hard-coded italics. M is emphasized. That means if in Roman environment, then it will be italicized. If it is in italicized environment, then the emphasized text will become Roman. That makes sense. This is small caps. This is sans serif, and this is typewriter. So in this presentation, I have used typewriter in a few places. For example, where I show you the simplest.text, the 4-line text file contents. So those contents were appeared in typewriter font. Default is RM, and in math mode, it is the italics, which is default. And you can underline and overline also. In LaTeX, there is no strike-through mode by default. Okay, LaTeX does not have a strike-through mode because in a book you typically don't need such a thing. So they did not give it. But if needed, you can always set a macro. Now, you would suspect that I must have set up a macro to get this. Otherwise, how could I get it if LaTeX doesn't give it? Well, when the idea came to my mind, I looked up Google yesterday. Okay, and it turned out that somebody in some forum had asked how to get a strike through, and some expert set up a very interesting kind of new command to get that. So I actually got it from there. But you will hardly need it ever. Font sizes. Now, these are the fonts, font types. There are several sizes in which you can have it. If you say nothing, then the default size is normal size. There are smaller sizes, small, tiny footnote size. Then there are larger sizes. This large, and this large. Then huge, and then huge. Okay. So this capitalization changes the little size. Okay. So these are the different sizes.
Sir,
Yes.
sorry to interrupt you, sir. I hate to say this, but we were supposed to be winding up by 8:30. So I was hoping. Oh,
Yeah, I will finish this section
yes, sure, sir.
by that,
So,
and after that we will
we can
later
have
plan
question
the
and answer
second
session.
round. Okay. So these are commands which make up your matter, particularly in thesis or report. Okay, before the first chapter, and for that, table of contents, list of figures, list of tables, etc. These are meta title I have already talked about. Page numbering and page style are commands which you may use depending upon some changes that you may need from the default. You can force an entry into table of contents or list of figures or list of tables sometimes if needed with these kind of commands. If your document is large, okay, say a huge paper or a thesis, okay, it is not necessary to write the whole thing in a single text file. So you can use input and include command to put the content of one text file in another, not physically, but for the composer. So in the master file, if you say /input something, then the composer will treat as if something.text, the content of something.text gets included there. Okay, something that you do in other programming languages also. Now, before we finish this section, doing things the civilized way. These are some little pieces of advice without which people sometimes edit text files in a very bad way. So do not go on typing the full paragraph in a single line. That way it will become very difficult to navigate through it. So draft your source file for easy reading, editing, and navigation. So if there is a paragraph of some 70 lines or say 40 lines, even 20 lines written in a single line of text, and you are actually taking advantage of the word wrap facility of the editor to see it properly on the screen. Otherwise, it will get cut off. Okay, but then when you try to edit, then all those hundreds of words you have to proceed to go to the place where you want to edit. Navigation becomes very difficult, editing becomes very difficult. So in between, keep on hitting enter. Okay, use spaces for better readability of the text to yourself, even when it does not matter for the composer. For example, this is clean source, begin equation, new line. I put an enter here. There was no need for the composer. Okay, and then use this, then said end equation, getting this equation. If you type it like this, begin equation, this, end equation, then you get this. Okay. There are two kinds of differences between this and this. This is well spaced, readable matter, which it will be not so difficult to edit later. And this is very funny way of writing, which is very difficult to see. Okay. And there is another kind of difference. Here I have written \exp. So exp is appearing like this with a little space from A. Okay. And that little space is the gift of this. Okay. Here I am writing exp without this backslash. Okay. And therefore this is appearing as if it's a product of A, E, X and P. Okay, which is not supposed to be the case. Similarly, this is looking like product of S, I and N. This is looking like sine. Okay. So we will again revisit this thing when we talk about math mode. And whenever you type / to get a new line in the output, it would be a good idea to actually press enter to go to the next line. Think once. Should I in the source file also go to the next line to make it clearer to myself? Okay. If you decide not to do that, that's a different thing. But think of it once. Particularly while keying in an array. After a long line having one line of content of the array, if you have already reached more than half of that line in the view of the editor, then it is better to go to the next line. Okay. Backslash, new line in the output also. So here also you go to the new line and continue. So that is how you should do it for your own ease later, for later editing. Okay. Okay. This point onwards, we will do later. And now, where do I go from now? Okay. So let us set some agenda for our next meeting. In the next meeting, we will discuss the other sections. In the next meeting, we will spend the first 15-20 minutes in the queries that you may post or have in between. Okay. And then we will proceed with the remaining sections. And before we meet next time, it would be nice if you do these things. First, acquire the book by Leslie Lamport and read through at least the first few chapters. Some of you may be able to do that. Some of you may keep on postponing. Okay, I mean, that is normal. Can't help it. Okay. This you certainly should do. Have the package in your system and try out composing some documents. Whatever specific issues you face or queries that you have, put them in words. Okay. And maybe you post it to the organizers, maybe Deepak or Sanjit, and they can collate them together and perhaps share with me. Though in the first 15-20 minutes we will take them, even if you do not put in words, or even if I do not receive the collated list earlier in a chunk. But if I receive them, then that may help me in keeping some answers, solutions, and perhaps examples ready, which in the next round, in the beginning 15-20 minutes, we can use. Okay. And if you have some questions right now, then you fire them in the remaining 5 minutes or so.
Yes, sir. There are a couple of questions, sir. One is that from Rahul Jaiswal. He wants to know that do we need to download software or we will be working with WordPad? I think he is referring to the document.
In WordPad, you edit the file, but for composing, you need the software. For example, suppose you are writing a C program. The program itself you can write in VI, editor, or WordPad. The program itself you can write, you can type in editor. But for compiling the program, you need the C compiler, right? So for a language, you need the compiler. For LaTeX also, you need LaTeX compiler, which is the LaTeX software package. Okay. So in your computer, it has to be there. For example, when you say LaTeX this, then the computer should know, right, what is LaTeX. So it knows that when you have the LaTeX software in your computer. In which system Rahul works? In which system you work?
Sir, Windows 10, sir.
Windows 10. So
Sir,
in
I
your Windows
usually,
10,
sir,
yes.
overleaf, sir, use the overleaf and online source to edit my
You
documents,
can
sir.
do that. You can do that. There are online composers of LaTeX. Okay, that you can do. In that case, you do not need to have the package in your computer. That is true. But then, if you are going to be a long-term user of LaTeX, then it is a good idea to have the package in your computer. It is free. You can download from anywhere. On the other hand, if you use that online composer, you can always do that. That is possible. Okay, what else? Any other question?
If there is any other question, please unmute yourself and ask directly to sir. There is no need to write in the chat box. I think there are no more questions, sir, I suppose.
Sir,
Yes.
I have one question.
Okay.
If I try to download the website, with some error. So I tried so many times.
I'm still
So-
sharing my screen, right? So suppose I say this. I'm making a Google search. LaTeX for Windows. Okay. Get LaTeX for Mac OS, Windows, Linux. Okay. So if I go there, then somewhere it will give me the option of the system, right? Then you will say Windows, right? Yeah, see Windows. So check out the MikTeX and ProTech and Tech Live. So MikTeX, say, and so on. So this is add. Get rid of this. Okay. So I think from here there will be some download. See some download. No, this is not the right download. Yeah. So this is perhaps the right download. So you click it here, and then you get the package downloaded in your computer. Then there will be some setup or install. So where you click and it starts installing it in your computer, and then you will perhaps have a button in your desktop or somewhere from where you will start LaTeX. I mean, something like that you do for most of the software, right? So this is basically a compiler, and which is free. This is one good thing about LaTeX. MS Office you have to buy, theoretically. Okay, I mean, people pirate it. With LaTeX you don't have any trouble of pirating things, just like Linux. You don't have, I mean, all that stuff is free. So you just download it and use it.
Sir, this software have a class and all the inbuilt functions required.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, sir.
Anything else?
Sir, there is another one question. They want to ask how to generate and include high quality plots from MATLAB to LaTeX.
Well, it will come, but you know, MATLAB produces high quality plots, yes. And those high quality plots you can write in MATLAB. There are commands of generating encapsulated PostScript files, and those encapsulated PostScript files you can include in your figure environment in LaTeX. I mean, this is how I do. When I have to include plots, Then in MATLAB, I generate those plots. From there, I get output in the form of EPS files. And in the figure environment, here in LaTeX, we will talk about those things later. In the figure environment, you can include those EPS files. They give you clear pictures. However, inside the figure environment in LaTeX, you may even have a sub environment which is picture environment, begin picture, end picture. In that, actually, you can also build your own pictures, build your own graphics. But the graphics capabilities of LaTeX itself is fairly limited. MATLAB will give you beautiful plots. I mean, as beautiful as you may ask for. Anything else?
I think we are done with the queries. So thank you so much, sir. That was very lucid presentation. I think it was very informative for us, all of us. And we would like to learn more, maybe in upcoming days, where we.
Yeah, maybe you can schedule the next one maybe next Sunday at the same time.
Yes, sir. We'll try to do
Yeah,
it.
we'll discuss. Those
Yes,
things.
sir.
Okay.
So that the students can see how to work in that software.
Yes.
While you can
Yes.
see.
In between, students get a week to experiment with things and have queries, confusions, doubts.
Yes, sir. I think that is very good
Okay.
idea. Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Thank
So
you for
I
coming.
stop sharing the screen now.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. See you again.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all the participants. Let's hope we have next session with sir.